What's up YouTube, it's Dear coming to you with another video. And today video I did a poll on my Instagram asking about what y'all wanted to see, and people picked the history of black people, so I think this is pretty cool. So again, I took down notes so I can be more organized, and yeah, we just want to go ahead and get into the video. So I wrote down my whole translation of the video so it can be easier for me and be organized. So if y'all hear page flipping, that's just me reading my notes. Okay. Do y'all find it weird that black people don't come into history, or black people aren't documented until slavery? Why does it seem like white people has always been in control, even back into Bible days? Also, look at the Renaissance era. All white artists, even their artwork they painted. Do you find it crazy that black people weren't brought into history books until slavery started, or you don't even see like a black person in a painting in the background? They got more pictures of animals in the Renaissance days than black people. But anyway, before we get into the topic, I'm going to say the few facts I learned from a book called Melanin and Path by Jade. I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name, but this is a book. Y'all should definitely go order this. We are creatures of light, love, and peace. Within us lies information of the universe, a sweet sacred element known as melanin. For those who don't know what melanin is, it's the pigment in our skin that gives black people their color. So, you know how Tupac says, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice? He knew what he was talking about. So, melanin beings are vibrant creatures that are deeply rooted in the cosmos, known for living in harmony with nature, and they are the original beings on Earth. I will get into that later. I even got Bible verses like the last video, so it's going to be pretty cool. Melanin exists as powerful spiritual energy. It is the dark matter present in every being in the universe, existing even on a cellular level. Okay. Also, during the Vietnam War, they did autopsies on soldiers. They found out that the pineal gland of the brain is larger in African Americans. Wow. For those who don't know what the pineal gland is a pea-sized gland shaped like a pine cone located in the middle of the brain. The pineal gland is also known as the third eye chakra. Wow. For those who don't know what chakras are, or the third eye chakra, chakras are energy centers in our body. We have the root chakra, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown chakra. These 7 chakras have significant impact on our physical, emotional, and spiritual health. If y'all want more details on chakras, I can make a different video about that, but here we go. The third eye chakra is our connection to spirit, God. It is the space between humans and God, moving us from the isolation experience in the human condition. Through an open and vibrant third eye, we will find our highest source of eternal energy. Wow. A return path to God is offered when one works to expand the third eye awareness. The pineal gland is also the seat of the soul. This is where our profound psychic encounters and vivid visuals take place. Now let's switch books. Let's go into the Bible and get some references. Genesis 32:30. So Jacob called the name of the place the Peniel, saying, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered." Going back to when I said the Peniel is the return path to God. Also Matthew 6:22. The eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. Going back to when I said the Peniel is the seat of the soul. Okay, and also we find our highest source of eternal energy, and a return path to God is effort when one works to expand the third eye. Also, let's go back to when I said how African American pineal glands were larger than any race. But if we take a look at Matthew 6:23, but if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If the light is in you, it is now darkness. How great is the darkness? We'll touch on this later on. Then the last verse I want to mention is Psalms 82:6. I said, you are God's sons of the Most High, all of you. Going back to when I said our third eye or our pineal gland is our connection to God. Before I go any further, I want to also mention how a gram of melanin is worth $450, which is more valuable than gold, while a gram of gold is only worth $55.70. So melanin is about $394 more than gold. With this being said, black people are the most wealthy and abundant things on the planet by just being themselves. All you gotta do is be born, and you are the most richest thing. Imagine this. Don't even imagine. You gotta know it because it's true. And also, stating from this book, before the embryo becomes a fetus, the outer layer of the skin produces melanin. This melanin eventually helps grow into the brain, as it has 12 melanated centers, which is known as black nuclei. Okay, so now when we're in school learning, like middle school, first learning about the difference between plant cells and animal cells, or about the human body, did they go into black nuclei or melanin, or was it just nucleus, nuclei, plant cell, chlorophyll, all that stuff? Also, the 12 melanated centers or the black nuclei, also this area of the mind that allows everyone to access the dream world. It is considered that this dream allows us to learn from our ancestors, so we can channel the creative powers of those of African descent who have once walked the earth. And the last thing I'm going to quote from this book, it is believed that the connection between the carbon and the black melanin life force, was divine, for it was within all things. Oh, I want to also mention one more thing too. Our melanin content can also motivate us to reach higher developed states of consciousness, learning what our true values are, and then using the power of melanin to manifest. Okay? One more thing I also want to quote. I really think everyone should go buy this book. I'm going to put the description of the Amazon link so y'all can order it. It's only like $16. There's a lot of information. And the information I'm giving y'all is only from 2 pages. So just imagine how much more you can learn from this book. So the book also states that scientists learned that the level of blackness of the skin was directly related to a higher level of spirituality and inner vision. Those who realized this connection realized the divine presence within them. Okay. Going to Matthew 28:20, teaching them to observe all those that I have commanded you, and behold, I am with you always to the end of age. Let's look at 1 Corinthians 3:16. Do you not know that you are God's temple, and that God's Spirit dwells within you? Going back to when I quoted, scientists learned that the level of blackness, aka melanin, of the skin was directly related to a higher level of spirituality and inner vision. Those who realized this connection realized the divine presence within them. Now let's get into how powerful and connected our ancestors are. Notice I said are and not were, because that same power now belongs to us. It was passed to us through our genes known as melanin. We just have to go within and find and believe in ourselves. Check out my last video, The Kingdom of Heaven is Within Us. So since we have learned all about melanin and how deeply connected we were to the cosmos and to the universe, let's check out this. Let's check out ancient Egypt. Okay. Before it was known as Egypt, it was known as Kemet. Kemet means black land. Ancient Africans often called themselves various names that meant black people, like Kemets. The Egyptians, aka black people, invented mathematics, geometry, surveying, astronomy, accounting, writing, paper, medicine, the ramp, the lever, the plow, mills for grinding grains, and large organized social societies. They also invited irrigation, calendars, clocks, police. Each kingdom had their own private police force. Notice how I said each kingdom. I'll get more into that later. They also invented surgical instruments, wigs, makeups, toothpaste, and mummifications. So our ancestors who were black and invented all these things. Without them, we wouldn't know how to write, tell time, know what day it is. They curated everything we need for everyday life now, and we still use these things today. Now let's look at what they did to the statues. So now do you have an idea why most of the faces are missing? It's like they tried to deface or cover up the fact that they were black. If we look at history, they call them the Egyptians, but isn't Egypt in Africa? And when they took slaves from Africa, they called them Africans. They didn't call them Egyptians. They didn't call them Nigerians. They didn't call them Euphorians, or they just called them Africans. So don't you find it weird that in this particular time period they're called Egyptians and not Africans? Now, have y'all heard of the gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt? Let's go back to 1 Corinthians 3:16. Don't you know that yourselves are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? Also, how melanin is the dark matter present in every being in the universe, existing on even cellular levels. Also, melanin cells, when in their purest form, can absorb large amounts of energy, and how it uses energy of the entire universe, and it's also deeply connected to the cosmos. Now let's look at this. The early belief in the God took forms of animism, the belief that inanimate objects, plants, and animals, the earth, have souls and are embedded with the divine spark. Fetishism, the belief that an object had consciousness and supernatural powers. So let's jump back to when I said scientists learned that the level of blackness of the skin was directly related to a higher level of spirituality, consciousness, and inner wisdom. Also look at this. In a time, spirits through At this time, these spirits through analysis became ano ano. I'm sorry, y'all. This is a big word. Anamorphized. That means attributing human characteristics to non-human things. So let's stop right there. What does the Bible say man was created of? Okay, let's jump to Genesis 2:7. Then the Lord God formed a man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. Now let's reread that. The early belief in the God took forms in animalism, the belief that inanimate objects, dust, plants, objects, and animals of the earth have souls and are infused with the divine spark. Now let's jump back over here. Okay. Also, check this out. The invisible spirits which inhabited the universe were given forms, shaped, and named. Of these became deities of ancient Egypt. So let's jump back to how melanin is deeply connected to the cosmos, and at its purest form, it can absorb large amount of energy, And what did the Lord God do? Breathe into the nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. So let's jump back one more time. And this time, the spirits, through analysis, became attributing human characteristics to non-human things. So, when God breathed, shaped, and molded the dirt, so when it says the invisible spirits which inhabit the universe were given shape and form, when God came and shaped and formed the dirt and breathed life into the dirt, it means he created a black man. And we are deeply connected to the cosmos, to the universe, and at its purest form can absorb energy. So why is it descripted, or why is it that all the people in the Bible are white? Because they changed or rewrote our history. Because after what we just talked about, it seems to me like the first man was a melanated or a black man. So think about all those people who had supernatural powers in the Bible. Example: Samson, Moses, David, Noah, Ezekiel, and the most famous of them all, Jesus. So after everything that we just learned, do you believe Jesus looked like that? Or do you believe Jesus looked more like this? Revelations 1:15, his feet were like burnished bronze, refined in a furnace, and his voice was like the roar of many waters. Bronze is like a bronze color, right? I don't think I'm bronze. I'm more like a caramel or something, but a little darker than me. Then in Revelations 1:14, the hairs on his head were white like wool, like snow. His eyes were a flame of fire. His hair was white like wool, meaning he had gray dreads. If you look at the pictures from the Renaissance, they painted all the white people with long, straight, wavy hair, or they had curly wigs on. So why was Jesus the only white man walking around with dreads? Okay, this is my personal opinion. I would love to hear y'all feedback on this. I would love to hear it. But you also know that gray and white hair symbolizes maturity and wisdom and represents respect. And the Bible is full of symbolism and parables. Now let's take a look at this. Now let's go back to when I said each kingdom had its own private police force. Africa was once filled with castles, and each family had their own private empire or kingdom. But we know when the Roman Catholic Empire or the Roman Empire took over, they came and created mass genocide. You either have to convert to Christianity or they would kill you. And they created mass genocide towards our ancestors. I watched a video that stated the atmosphere around Africa holds evidence that a great fire once happened. And let's take a look at Isaiah 24. Behold, the Lord will empty the earth and make it desolate, and he will twist its surface and scatter its inhabitants. And it shall be with the people, so with the priest, as with the slave, as with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, and as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the creditor, so with the debtor. The earth shall be utterly empty and utterly plundered, for the Lord has spoken this word. The earth mourns and withers, the world languish and withers, the highest people of the earth languish. Okay, now let's go back. Let's go back to earlier when I said melanin exists as a powerful spiritual energy. Also, how the book stated that scientists learned that the level of blackness of the skin was directly related to a higher level of spirituality and the inner vision. Those who realize this connection realize the divine presence within them. Okay, and also let's look at 1 Corinthians. Do you not know that you are God's temple, that God's spirit dwells in you? Now let's jump back to Isaiah 24, when it says that the world languish and withers, the highest people of the earth languish. Languish means failing to make progress or be successful. With that being said, the Roman people, or the Roman Empire people, killed and burned down all our kingdoms because our ancestors wouldn't join them. They wouldn't convert into Christianity, or they wouldn't follow their laws. So failing to make progress, creating mass genocide to our ancestors. The King James Bible was written in 1611, so that means it was rewritten to fit the favor of the Roman Catholic or the Roman Empire, which also owns England. And what the England was owned? America. Did you know that Native American originally means black people who walk with God? Join me in my next video and I'll go into detail how America was originally owned by blacks and how the slave trade was really how they shipped the black people to Africa. So the black people who were already in America, they shipped them back to Africa, and they switched the people who were Africa and sent them to America so they would be unfamiliar with the land. Let's go back to Isaiah 24 again. Behold, the Lord will empty the earth and make it desolate, and he will twist its surface and scatter its inhabitants, as shall be with the people. So back to when I said the Africans who had established land and great empires in America were switched with those who were already in Africa. So, it'd be harder for them to control or know the land or to run away. So, and they also gave our ancestors the Bible so we can learn their way. And we had to learn that, okay, in order to find God, you have to die. But we know that God lives within us. It's like, in order to get to heaven, you have to die. But in order to get to your heaven, you have to die. But the white people were already living. They already had their heaven on earth, and they were doing everything they wanted. So why did black people have to die in order to get to their heaven? So that's where all that comes from. So before we leave, black people were taught to believe we only have history as slaves because the white had to create mass trauma upon black people because they feared us, because we were smarter and they were afraid we would surprise them at everything, and we would become too powerful and eliminate them. So they thought they could do it first. So they destroyed our history to create a fake narrative to make us close our spiritual eyes. With that being said, let's go back to Matthew 6:23. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is the darkness? It's like they're mocking us in our face. How great is the darkness? And it's so sad because our ancestors were full of love and light and the most peaceful people who wanted everyone to be great and live in harmony. And let's go back to this. This was also quoted in the book. Melanated beings are vibrant creatures that are deeply rooted in the cosmos, known for living in harmony with nature, and they are the original beings on Earth. Okay? But this is when the pride and ego got the best of the colonizers. Join me for the next video on how America was once a great empire of black people. I also want y'all to check this out. Check out this Wakanda video.
I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Have I not given everything?
Y'all notice how she said she was once the queen of the greatest nation of the world, and they killed her whole entire family? So, with that being said and everything we just talked about, it's kind of crazy how they're putting our history in our face. But we believe these are just movies. These are just stories, myths, ancient folklores, or folk tales. But this is really our history of our ancestors. Or they took our history of our people and white-faced them. Just like they defaced the statues in Egypt. They took our history and rewrote it to fit their history. So y'all know, I watched this video saying that how when somebody has a war and whoever sides wins, they have their victory is a chance to create history, to create a new narrative. So y'all gotta think about this. If America was once a great empire, do y'all think they shipped all them slaves over here like that? Or were our ancestors slaves, war prisoners, forced to work on our own land to rebuild for the person who won the war? So it's just so much to think about. And I have more information about that too. I think it's entirely too much to get into right now for this one video, because I'm recording off my phone, and so my phone doesn't have that much storage on it, and I can't upload large videos like that as if I had a laptop and a camera. But soon I hope to get one of those. But this is all I have for this video. Peace, love, and light, and let's show them who we really are, and let's reclaim our name back and take back our power. So, like she said, Wakanda forever. Y'all, it's just Africa forever, or African Americans forever. It's just, we are more powerful than we think, and it's time for us to tap back into our energy and reclaim our name. We're not slaves. We're not just black people who create violence or black people who are thugs. We are kings and queens, and it's time for us to take back our name and rewrite our history the way it was originally.